Let's talk about the offensive side of the football. Right now, statistically, this is the worst offense in franchise history. It's not even close. It's the worst offense in the NFL in every major category. When you talk about third down conversion rate, when you talk about red zone offense, anything. This offense, big plays, all of that stuff. This offense is ranked dead last. And to contrast that, when you look at our 2016 stats, granted, we haven't finished the season yet, but when you look at the 2016 stats, we were number one in 20-plus yard passes. Tannehill was like the fourth-ranked quarterback in that category. You talk about big plays. I think we were the number one in that category of like 40-plus yard touchdowns or something, or 40-plus yard plays out of, I don't know how many plays there was, how many they gauged that at, but this offense is just not the same. I don't know what it is. I don't think anybody really knows what it is or what the issue is. When you talk about the personnel that's on that offense and how disappointing they've been, going into the season, we thought this offense was going to be very fun to watch. It was going to be a dominant offense, and it's been the complete and utter opposite. It's been the opposite. And the last stretch of the 2016 season, the offense looked great. It was a very good offense. It was fun to watch. It was productive. It was very productive, for that matter. I mean, we scored we had how many 30-point games down the stretch of that year. Our offense came up big in different situations. It was the defense that was struggling at the tail end of last year. This year, it's been totally different. You would think we would have been able to build off of some of those things, but again, when you talk about all three facets or all of the position groups on the offense, you talk about the offensive line and how disappointing they've been. We talk about how disappointing Laramie Tunsil has been. Laramie's coming off of winning AFC Rookie of the Year, which is a big deal. He's coming off a great season as a rookie, especially when you talk about him playing out of position. High hopes going into this season. Huge accolades coming out of Ole Miss. Everybody thought he was going to be a great left tackle. Has been utterly disappointing since the start of the season. I don't know if it's health, because he has been banged up. I don't know what it is, but he's been penalized more than any of the offensive linemen on our team. He's been he just hasn't been good. He hasn't been good. And when I say he hasn't been good, it's not like he's been terrible. It's just by his standards, I expect more out of a player like that, and we're just not getting that right now. And it's just been disappointing. When you talk about the guard position, Jermon's played okay. He's actually been playing better than I thought he would. But the other position's been up and down due to injuries. Anthony Steen's in and out. We're constantly rotating. That's an issue. Mike Pouncey's played pretty good. He's had a couple up and down plays as well, but he's played pretty good. And then when you talk about Juwan James, who I think has probably been the best offensive lineman on the team, even though he's had his up and downs. So the offensive line has been utterly disappointing when you talk about the talent on it. You look at the receivers, they're productive, not consistent, and it starts with executing plays. When you talk about how many miscommunications this offense has had, people running the wrong routes, not doing the right things, stupid penalties, false starts. This receiver core, it's riddled with that kind of stuff when you talk about running the wrong routes, busted plays, all that kind of stuff. The receivers are just not executing the plays correctly. They're just not. And you hear it every single week from Adam. You hear it every single dang week. And they're not open half the dang time. I mean, you put on the tape and you watch. It's like blanket coverage. I mean, that's blanket as blanket gets, guys. I mean, people just aren't open. And again, the lack in the running backs too. Don't even get me started on them. I mean, when you talk about pass protection, I don't even blame Matt Moore for his performance last night. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's a stationary QB. He's a pocket passer. He didn't get any time to throw. I don't care who's under center for that performance. I could sit here and say maybe he didn't check to the right protections. I sat there and saw the man checking to protections. It had to have been the players not executing them right. The running backs not blocking well, and the offensive line either not sliding to the protection or just not. Either the communication was bad. I don't know, but the execution was terrible on Thursday night, and it's just the same thing each and every single week. Adam talked about it. He said that, and this was a huge gripe that we've all had since the start of the season, is the play calling, and he said that he's had to simplify the offense to the point of we're just 100% predictable every single dang play. And that has to do with apparently the players' preparation has been god-awful. This is from Adam. And if that's the case, then Adam said that there are going to be changes on the offense. Then there needs to be changes on the offense because, again, the offense it's just been disappointing. There's really no bright spot of this offense, at all. I thought for sure, actually, that after Sunday's game, going into Thursday game, we finally got the ball rolling, because we have been kind of building momentum. When you think about the Titans game, we saw some run game at the end of that game. You go to the Falcons game, we had a 100-yard rushing performance from Jay. Then you go to the Jets game, we score 31 points. Then you go to this game, and then we score a donut. So it's not getting better. It's not getting better. I thought it was getting better. I thought the ball was starting to roll in the right direction. I thought momentum was starting to build. Some people thought maybe the quarterback change was the issue. Obviously, that's not the case. It goes way deeper than that, and it extends to all other 10 players on the field. So this is an issue. So, this makes me excited to see what the lineup changes are going forward. It is what it is. I think, anything at this point for the offense to get going. As fans, we just want to win. This offense could perform at this level for the rest of the year, and our defense could win us 10 games. We would be totally fine with that. But something needs to change for this offense to get going. And whatever it is needs to happen quick. I'm excited to see what those lineup changes are, because, again, something desperately needs to change. Another thing that, makes me worried, really get the sense that Adam Gase doesn't trust his players to run his system. You really get the sense he just doesn't have confidence in them, play in and play out, to execute the plays that are called. And that was obvious. That was right on the main stage at his Friday press conference. You really just get the feeling that he does not trust the players out there. He really doesn't. And, he expressed that in that press conference. And that's not good. That's not good. And, we wondered why the play calling was what it was earlier on in the season. There it is. And, he needs to get the players in there that he trusts to go out there and execute the plays. I don't care if it's a guy off the street. Whoever it is, he needs to start at this point. I don't care. Just start somebody who can get it done. Hopefully he finds the lineup that he likes, that he feels comfortable with out there, that he has confidence in, play in and play out, because that's a big problem right now that needs to be fixed. All right, let's talk about the defense. I'm going to sprinkle some special teams into this because, the defense gets the blame for some of the things that happened on Thursday night, but special teams was terrible. Matt Hawk had probably the worst game. Even compared to Matt Darr's worst game, that was the worst game that I've seen from a punter in Miami in a very long time, especially somebody who's coached by Darren Rizzi. I have a lot of faith in Darren and the choices that he makes. You look at Parkey and how good he's been for us this year. He's kicked, 3 game-winning field goals or something crazy like that. He's been great. He's got a great leg. He didn't have a great night, but it was a tough task. It was a 50-something yard field goal. It wasn't like it was a chip shot. But Matt Hawk, even from it wasn't like, he had 3 good punts, and then for the rest of the night, since our offense was going 3 and out, either his leg got tired or whatever. No, from the start, the first punt of the game was terrible. So special teams was not good. The Gunners were good. It was just the punter. The punter was terrible. Matt Hawk was bad. Terrible punting night. Really put our defense in terrible situations. We knew going into this game that it was going to be a low-scoring game. We know both defenses on each side for each team. Dominant defensive style. That's how we've won these games. Both teams have won the games that they've won because of their defense. And when we give them short fields, and they got a kicker who can kick an 80-yard field goal, for God's sakes, it's going to be tough. Justin Tucker's probably the greatest kicker to ever live. This man's automatic from 55 yards plus. So that's going to be an issue when the special teams unit can't give the other team a long field. That comes down to the offense as well. But the punter, Matt Hawk, was bad. He was just bad. And it was a shared blame there for field position. Again, the offense could have obviously been more productive, but the defense really had their hands full. They literally would have had to single-handedly win the game. Obviously, we scored nothing. The defense would have had to put up points by themselves. Again, the defense, some of the things that they struggled with, it wasn't like they were pitch perfect and they get no blame for this. I said this before going into this game. I was really worried if, it's a copycat league. People copycat every little dang thing that you do. The Jets copied the Falcons, and the Ravens really didn't copy what the Jets did to us and the Falcons did to us. They really when they ran the football, they were attacking the outsides, but they were successful running up the middle as well. They had a little bit different. They came in with a little. The scheme wasn't exactly the same, so I'm not going to say it was all copycat, but most of the big runs were outside. And as the game went on, the effort really started to go down. One, because the game was out of reach in the third quarter when Matt threw this, the pick six to CJ. At that point, I mean, we already knew this is going to be a bad night. And the effort wasn't there. The open field tackling was bad because of the effort. I mean, they just weren't playing. They had nothing to play for. Obviously, naturally, the play will go down. And it wasn't like they weren't fighting and they weren't trying or anything like that. But naturally, the play is going to go down when you look up at the scoreboard and it's 26-0 at that point. The run defense was not good. Schematically, we didn't really adjust on the defensive line, which was weird. We kind of kept the same defense out there. We didn't make any adjustments to what they were doing to us, which was that's coaching. That's not the players. That's on Matt Burke to really understand what they're doing to you, and at halftime, either change it at halftime or change it after the first drive, because schematically, it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough. The defense, again, for the second week in the row, Cordrea was picked on. Jeremy Maclin scored a touchdown on him. After that, it was pretty much quiet. But again, that's some of the things that we have to clean up on the back end is the big play, and Cordrea needs to get better at that, and that's something that he will get better at. He didn't have a bad game other than giving up that touchdown. It wasn't that bad for a rookie. And the defense, it was what it was, but most of it wasn't because of the players on the field. And I 100% believe that. Again, some of the open field tackling early on could have been better. They get criticized for that 100%. But when the score is what it was, of course, the tackling isn't going to be as good as it was. I thought we did a good job on tight ends. I really thought tight ends were going to be an issue going into this game. As the game went along, they became a little bit more prevalent. I think they got one tight end screen, but something that I loved that I saw, Matt Burke had a pretty good game plan going into this game, other than the fact that he didn't adjust the defensive line. But in the passing game, he had a good game plan. You saw their infamous play that the Falcons run constantly. It's just a play action bootleg with Joe Flacco. And he's got like 2 flare outs on the right side. Easy completion most of the time, because they only really run that when the running game is going, and it was. And we had a beautiful tackle by Kiko on the sideline. Some of those things were cleaned up in this game. We did a better job in the middle of the football field. They took a deep shot when Ryan Mallett was in the game to Benjamin Watson. That was pretty well covered. It was in the dirt. He had to throw it low and away. So, again, it had more to do with the, not a lot of different things. Special teams, the adjustments were poor, coaching was poor that particular day. The secondary, I thought, did an okay job overall. The open field tackling was an issue, but overall, the defense is just really paying for other people's mistakes at this point, whether that's special teams or offense. I mean, they really are reaping that right now, and Matt Burke needed to do a better job of adjusting. He just needed to be a great defensive play caller in this league. Then you look at the Wade Phillipses of the world, and you look at the Matt Patricias of the world, and you look at even the Vance Josephs of the world, who really do a good job of adjusting to what the other team is doing to you, and that's what they make their money off of. I mean, that's Bill Belichick has made. That's his defense. It's just adjustments, being versatile, being flexible, and adjusting to whatever the team is trying to do to you. And Matt Burke just didn't do a good job. He's done a great job of that all year. He's had tremendous game. Like I said, the pass coverage. From that standpoint, I mean, they really came in with they came in with a running scheme that they really haven't done against other teams. So I'm gonna give Matt a pass for that on the game plan, but he did need to do a better job of adjusting, which he has done a good job of all year. His defense has been fun to watch. They're a well-coached team. I'm not saying they're not, but again, the defense is just reaping the woes of the rest of the team right now. The defense is talented. It's still the same defense that we saw at the start of the year. It's a very sound, very good defense, and it will be for the rest of the year. They've been by far the most consistent positional unit on the team. And again, going back to some of just to recap the entire thing before I end the video, Finch just needs to get back on track. It's going to be very interesting to see what the offseason moves are, because potentially this offense could look totally. If things continue with what they are right now, this offense is not going to look the same in the 2018 season. I'm talking the O-line, I'm talking the receiver core, I'm talking the tight ends, and I'm talking the quarterback position. All 4 of those things are going to be overhauled. if these things continue to happen. This offense will not look the same. It's going to be drastically different. And I hope we don't change certain things. Certain things I would love to keep on this team because I still see a bright future for certain players on this offense. And I don't think it's their fault. There are certain key players to this offense that I love and that I wish we would keep. But again, if things can continue to go the way they are, then this offense needs to change. Similar to what we did to the defense after the 2016 season. Because at this point, we got to shake our heads in disgust. Like I said, it's not the quarterback's fault. Trust me, it's not. It's just not. It extends deeper than that. And, I mean, it just needs to be fixed. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. We need to see an entirely new lineup, then we need to see an entirely new lineup. And hopefully that'll light a fire under some of these players. Because, I mean, if it takes for them to sit down on the sideline and watch other players play, and that's what it takes for these guys to have better preparation off the field, then that's what it takes. And I'm excited to see what those lineup changes are. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you think about the lineup? What would you change? I am Skagster1083, and I'll see you guys in the next one.